I was standing in our living room, clutching my favorite superhero mask, when my parents divided our family like furniture. Mom took my sister Emma by the hand. Dad took my brother Tyler by the shoulder. I asked, "What about me?" Mom said she could not handle 2 kids. Dad said his new apartment only had room for 1 child. Someone stepped on my mask in the chaos, crushing the plastic face I wore every Halloween. A social worker I had never met arrived with paperwork. Nobody said goodbye. I left holding the ruined mask. And that was how I learned that sometimes parents choose which children to keep and which to throw away. The Patterson house smelled like old carpet and too many people living in too small a space. Mrs. Patterson introduced me to 5 other foster kids on my first day. 3 boys shared 1 bedroom, and I got the bottom bunk in the corner. Marcus was 15, and he made it clear from day 1 that he ran things in that room. He took the good blanket. He took the space near the window. He took whatever he wanted, and the adults never noticed. I kept my ruined mask under my pillow because it was the only thing I had from before the divorce, before the division, before I became the kid nobody wanted. At school, I was the new student who showed up in November with no explanation. Teachers gave me sympathetic looks but no real help. I fell behind in math immediately. My old school had been 2 chapters ahead. The other kids learned fast that I was in foster care. I do not know how they found out, but kids always know. They called me charity case. They called me orphan, even though technically I was not. I had parents. They just did not want me. That felt worse somehow. Marcus found my mask 3 weeks into my stay. He pulled it out from under my pillow while I was brushing my teeth. When I came back to the bedroom, he was holding it up, laughing. The other boys laughed too. He said, "What kind of baby keeps a broken toy?" He said I was pathetic. He said nobody wanted me because I was weak. I hit him. I had never hit anyone before, but something snapped inside me. We fought right there in the bedroom, knocking over the lamp, crashing into the bunk beds. Mr. Patterson pulled us apart. Marcus had a bloody nose. I had a split lip. Mrs. Patterson called us both into the kitchen. Marcus lied. He said I attacked him for no reason. He said I was violent and unstable. The other boys backed him up because they were scared of Marcus. Mrs. Patterson believed them. She said I was on thin ice. She said one more incident, and I would be moved to another placement. She did not ask why I hit him. She did not care about the mask crushed further in the fight. School got worse. The bullies there learned I got in trouble at my foster home. They pushed harder, called me trailer trash, called me unwanted. One kid named Jason tripped me in the cafeteria, and my lunch tray went everywhere. The whole cafeteria laughed. I wanted to disappear. But then something happened that gave me hope. I remembered Emma, my sister. She was only 9, but we had been close before the divorce. I thought maybe if I could talk to her, maybe she could convince Mom to let me visit. Maybe the family could still come back together somehow. I waited until the Pattersons were asleep one Tuesday night. I snuck downstairs to the kitchen phone and dialed the number I had memorized from the divorce papers I had seen. My hands shook. The phone rang 4 times. Then Emma answered. Her voice was exactly how I remembered. She said my name like a question, surprised and happy at the same time. We talked for 20 minutes. She told me about her new school, about her new bedroom at Mom's apartment. She said she missed me. She said she thought about me all the time. She promised she would talk to Mom about letting me visit. She said maybe for Thanksgiving, which was only 3 weeks away. She said we could be together again. I hung up feeling lighter than I had in months. I went back to bed and actually slept well. I had hope. My sister still loved me. She would fix this. 2 weeks passed. I waited for Emma to call back. I checked with Mrs. Patterson every day, asking if anyone called for me. Nothing. I tried calling again the next Tuesday. I let it ring 10 times. Nobody answered. I tried Thursday, Friday. Finally, on Saturday afternoon, someone picked up. It was Mom. Her voice was ice. She asked how I got this number. I said I just wanted to talk to Emma. Mom said Emma got in trouble for talking to me the first time. She said I was making things harder for everyone. She said Emma was finally adjusting to her new life, and I needed to stop disrupting it. I tried to explain that I just missed my sister. Mom cut me off. She said we had all moved on. She said I should too. She said it was selfish of me to keep trying to pull Emma back into the past. She said she was blocking this number, so I could not call again. I said please. I said I just wanted to talk sometimes. Mom said no. She said it was better for everyone, especially Emma, if I accepted the new reality. She said maybe when I was older and independent, we could revisit things. But for now, I needed to leave her family alone. Her family. Not our family. Her family. She hung up. Mrs. Patterson found out about the phone calls 3 days later when the bill came. I had called 6 times total. She was furious about the long-distance charges. She said I was inconsiderate and sneaky. She said foster kids needed to follow rules. She added extra chores for a month as punishment. I lay in my bottom bunk that night, staring at the mattress above me, and realized the truth. I had tried to fix things. I had reached out with hope, and my effort made everything worse. Mom was not just passively absent anymore. She was actively pushing me away. She had chosen Emma and told me to stay gone. Marcus whispered from across the room that he heard me crying. He said I was a baby. I did not respond. I just pulled the ruined mask out from under my pillow and held it in the dark, feeling the cracked plastic edges against my fingers, knowing it could never be fixed. The Brooks family was different from the Pattersons. Cleaner house, stricter rules. Everything operated on a schedule posted on the refrigerator. Breakfast at 7, chores from 7:30 to 8. School, homework from 4 to 6, dinner at 6:30, bedtime at 9. No exceptions, no flexibility, no room to breathe. Mrs. Brooks believed in fresh starts. She said I needed to let go of the past to embrace the future. She said carrying old baggage would hold me back. On my 3rd day there, she came into my room while I was at school and cleaned. When I got back, my ruined mask was gone. She had thrown it away. I searched the trash, the dumpster, everywhere. She told me she did it for my own good. She said I needed to stop clinging to broken things. Mr. Brooks agreed. He said moving forward meant leaving things behind. They meant well, I guess. But they took the last physical thing I had from my old life. They took it without asking. They decided what was best for me, without knowing what it meant. I stopped talking much after that. I did my homework. I followed the schedule. I became a ghost in their house, present but not really there. Mrs. Brooks said I was adjusting. She told my caseworker I was doing fine. Nobody asked how I actually felt. Months passed. I turned 13. The Brooks family gave me a birthday cake and a card signed by both of them. No call from Mom. No card from Emma or Tyler. I ate the cake and said thank you and went to my room. That night, I decided to try one more time. Not with Mom, with Dad. Tyler was with him, and Tyler was my older brother. Surely he remembered me. Surely he would want to talk. I could not call because I did not have Dad's number, but I did have his address. I had seen it on some paperwork my caseworker left on the table once. I memorized it. I wrote a letter to Tyler. I kept it simple. Said I missed him. Said I hoped he was doing okay. Said I would like to hear from him if he wanted to write back. I gave him the Brooks family address. I walked to the post office and bought a stamp with my allowance money. I mailed it. Then I waited. 3 months went by. Nothing. I thought maybe he never got it. Maybe Dad moved. Maybe the letter was lost. I tried not to get my hopes up, but hope is a stubborn thing. It grows in the dark like weeds. Then one day, Mrs. Brooks handed me an envelope. Return address was Dad's. My heart jumped. I took it to my room and opened it carefully. But it was not from Tyler. It was from Dad. The letter said he was sorry for how things happened. He said he thought about me sometimes. He said his situation had changed over the past couple years. He had a bigger apartment now, more space. He said maybe we could reconnect. Maybe I could visit sometime. He gave me his phone number. He signed it Dad. I read that letter probably 50 times. I kept it under my mattress. I thought about calling every single day, but I was scared. What if he changed his mind? What if he did not really mean it? What if I called and he rejected me again? It took me 2 weeks to build up the courage. I waited until the Brooks family went out for groceries one Saturday. I used their kitchen phone. I dialed the number with shaking fingers. Dad answered on the 3rd ring. His voice sounded older than I remembered. I said it was me, Harry. There was a pause. Then he said my name, and he sounded happy. He asked how I was. I said okay. I asked about Tyler. He said Tyler was good, doing well in school. I said I got his letter. I said I would like to visit if that was still okay. Another pause. Longer this time. Then I heard a woman's voice in the background. She said, "Is that the foster kid?" She said, "I thought you said that was handled." Dad's tone changed. He said, "Hold on." I heard him walk to another room. When he came back, his voice was quieter. He said things were complicated. He said he had remarried. A woman named Janet. She had 2 daughters, ages 8 and 10. He said it was a fresh start for him. I asked if I could still visit. Dad said Janet was not comfortable with that. He said she did not want to confuse her daughters. He said they did not know about me. He said he thought he could make it work, but Janet felt strongly that his new family needed to be his priority. He said maybe when I was older and independent we could reconnect, but for now, it was too complicated. I could not speak. Dad kept talking. He said he hoped I understood. He said he was trying to do what was best for everyone. He said he was sure I was doing fine in foster care and I would turn out okay. He said I seemed like a strong kid. I hung up without saying goodbye. I sat on the kitchen floor and stared at the phone. Dad had not just rejected me at the divorce. He was rejecting me again, actively, deliberately. He had replaced me with ready-made stepdaughters who were easier to fit into his new life. He chose them over his own son, and Tyler never even knew I tried to reach him. Dad intercepted my letter. Tyler probably did not know I existed anymore. The Brooks family came home and found me sitting on the floor. Mrs. Brooks asked if I was sick. I said yes. I said I had a stomachache. She let me go to my room. I lay on my bed and realized that both of my parents had now actively rejected me, not just abandoned me through neglect or circumstance. They had each been given a chance to choose me, and they chose not to. The Brooks family could not handle my worsening depression. I stopped eating much, stopped doing homework, just went through the motions. Mrs. Brooks said I needed more specialized care. My caseworker moved me to the Reeves family when I was 14. The Reeves family was fine. Not great, not terrible, just fine. Mr. Reeves worked long hours. Mrs. Reeves was polite, but distant. They provided food, shelter, and basic care. They did not pretend to be my parents. They did not try to fix me. They just let me exist in their house while I tried to figure out how to survive. I stopped trying to contact anyone from my old family. I built walls around whatever was left of my heart. I focused on getting through each day. That was all I could manage. High school became my escape. Not because I loved it, but because it gave me structure and purpose. I threw myself into my classes with an intensity that surprised my teachers. Math, English, history, science. I studied like my life depended on it. In a way, it did. Education was my ticket out of the system. At 16, I got a job at Nelson Hardware on Main Street. Mr. Nelson hired me to stock shelves and help customers find what they needed. I worked every afternoon after school and all day Saturday. I saved every penny. While other kids spent money on movies and fast food, I put mine in a savings account at the credit union downtown. The Reeves family did not ask questions. As long as I followed their basic house rules and did not cause trouble, they left me alone. That was fine with me. I did not need parents anymore. I just needed a place to sleep until I turned 18. Senior year, I took extra classes and did well enough to get into community college. Not a fancy university, but I did not care about fancy. I cared about practical. I majored in business administration because it seemed like a path to stability, to money, to independence. My 18th birthday came and went without fanfare. The state sent me paperwork about aging out of the system. I had already saved $4,000 from my hardware store job. I found a tiny studio apartment above a laundromat for $450 a month. It smelled like detergent and had a window that did not close all the way, but it was mine. Nobody could take it from me. I worked full-time at the hardware store and went to community college at night. For 2 years, I barely slept. I drank cheap coffee and ate ramen noodles and studied in the laundromat's harsh fluorescent lighting because my apartment was too dark. But I made it work. I got my associate degree. Then I transferred to a state university for my bachelor's degree. At 22, I graduated with a degree in business administration and exactly $11 in my bank account. But I also had something more valuable. I had a job offer. Parker and Associates was a commercial real estate firm downtown. They needed a junior property manager. The pay was $35,000 a year, which seemed like a fortune to me. I bought one decent suit at a thrift store and showed up on my first day determined to prove myself. Douglas Parker, the senior partner, took an interest in me. He was 62 years old, with gray hair and a firm handshake. He asked about my background during my second week. I told him the truth. Foster care, no family. Worked my way through college. He nodded and said that kind of determination was rare. He said I would go far if I kept at it. Douglas became my mentor. He taught me the business, how to assess properties, how to negotiate with tenants, how to manage difficult clients, how to think strategically. He saw potential in me that I had not seen in myself. For the first time since I was 11 years old, I had someone who believed in me, someone who showed up, someone who cared whether I succeeded. I worked harder than anyone else at the firm. I came in early, stayed late. I took on the projects nobody else wanted. By 23, I was promoted to property manager. My salary jumped to $48,000. I moved to a better apartment, one with windows that closed, one without the smell of laundry detergent seeping through the floorboards. Douglas invited me to firm dinners, introduced me to clients, treated me like I mattered. He had grown children of my own age, but they lived out of state. Sometimes I wondered if he saw me as a surrogate son. I definitely saw him as the father figure I never had. At 24, I attended a real estate conference in the city. That is where I met Amanda. She worked in marketing for a development company. Smart, funny, easy to talk to. We got coffee after one of the sessions. Then dinner. Then we exchanged numbers. We dated for 6 months. She was the first person I ever told everything to. The divorce, the abandonment, the foster homes, the ruined mask. All of it. She listened without judgment. She said I was one of the strongest people she had ever met. She said my past did not define me. For the first time since childhood, I felt like I had a real family. Not blood family, but chosen family. Douglas, who mentored me. Amanda, who loved me. My coworkers, who respected me. I had built something real. Something stable. Something nobody could take away. I was 25 when everything changed. I was at my desk on a Tuesday afternoon reviewing lease agreements when my phone buzzed with a Facebook notification. Someone named Emma Carter had sent me a friend request. The profile picture showed a young woman with brown hair. It took me a second to recognize her. My sister. She had gotten married, changed her last name. My hands went cold. I accepted the request. Immediately, a message came through. The message was long. She said she had been searching for me for months. She said Mom finally told her I might be in this city. She said she had thought about me constantly over the years. She said she never forgot about me. She said Mom felt terrible about what happened. She said Mom wanted to make things right. She included Mom's phone number and email address. Then she said Tyler wanted to reconnect too. He was 27 now, and Dad had been asking about me. The whole family wanted back in my life. I stared at the message for probably 20 minutes. Amanda came over to my desk and asked if I was okay. I showed her the message. She read it carefully. She said, "That was a lot to process." She asked how I felt. I said I did not know. Over the next 2 days, Emma called my work phone 3 times. I do not know how she got the number, but she did. She left voicemails saying she really wanted to meet. She said we could get dinner. She said she wanted to be siblings again. She said family was important. Amanda said I should be careful. She said it seemed suspicious that they all wanted to reconnect at the same time after so many years. I said maybe they had just grown up. Maybe they regretted what happened. Maybe people could change. Emma called a 4th time. I answered. Her voice was bright and cheerful. She said she was so happy to hear my voice. She said we should meet this weekend, Saturday night. There was a restaurant downtown. She would bring Mom and Tyler. We could all be together, like a real family. I said okay. I agreed to meet them. Amanda looked worried but did not say anything. That Saturday, I put on my best shirt and drove downtown. The restaurant was nicer than I expected. Emma had made reservations. I walked in and saw them at a corner table. Mom looked older, gray in her hair, lines around her eyes. Emma looked like a grown woman now, not the 9-year-old I remembered. Tyler was tall and broad-shouldered, a stranger with familiar features. Mom stood up when she saw me. She hugged me. I stood stiff in her arms, not knowing how to respond. She cried a little. She said she was so sorry. She said she had been young and overwhelmed during the divorce. She said she made terrible mistakes. She said not a day went by that she did not think about me. Emma hugged me next. She smelled like perfume and smiled too brightly. Tyler shook my hand awkwardly. He said it was good to see me. He admitted he barely remembered me, which stung but was honest. We sat down. Mom asked about my life, my job, my apartment. I gave basic answers. They seemed impressed that I was a property manager. Emma said I had done so well for myself. Tyler nodded along. Mom said she wanted us to meet regularly, to rebuild our relationship, to be a family again. Emma said we could do dinners once a month, maybe holidays together. She talked about Thanksgiving, about Christmas. She painted a picture of us as a functional, happy family. I did not mention that Dad was apparently asking about me too, but had not shown up to this dinner. Nobody else brought him up either. The dinner lasted 2 hours. When we parted, Mom hugged me again. She said she loved me. She said she always had. Emma said she would call me next week to plan our next dinner. Tyler said, "Take care." I drove home feeling confused. Amanda was waiting at my apartment. She asked how it went. I said it was strange but okay. She asked if I trusted them. I said I did not know. She said to be careful. She said people did not usually change that much. I said maybe family was different. 2 weeks later, we met again. Same restaurant. This time, Mom seemed more relaxed, less apologetic. She asked more questions about my salary, my savings, my apartment lease. I answered honestly, not seeing where it was going. Emma mentioned she was pregnant, 5 months along. She said her husband Brad did not make much money. He worked in retail. She seemed stressed about finances. Tyler mentioned he was between jobs, looking for something better. Mom said she had lost her job 3 months ago. Budget cuts at the company where she worked in accounting. They did not ask for money. Not directly. But the implications hung in the air like smoke. I felt uncomfortable but tried to be supportive. I said I was sorry they were going through hard times. Mom smiled and said families help each other through difficulties. Amanda met them at the third dinner. She was polite but quiet. Afterward, in my car, she said she had a bad feeling. She said they seemed more interested in what I could provide than in actually knowing me. I got defensive. I said she did not understand. I said she had a normal family, so she could not relate to what it was like to have yours come back. We argued. It was our first real fight. She eventually backed off, but said she was worried. I said she did not need to be. A month after that first dinner, Mom called me. She was crying. She said she was about to be evicted from her apartment. She owed $3,000 in back rent. The landlord was filing eviction papers. She said she had nowhere else to turn. Emma could not help because of pregnancy expenses. Tyler had no money because he was unemployed. Dad had refused to help her. She said I was her only hope. She said she knew it was a lot to ask after everything. But I was her son, and family helped family. That is what she said. Family helped family. I talked to Douglas about it. He said not to give her money. He said it sounded like manipulation. He said if she truly wanted a relationship, she would not be asking for thousands of dollars after only a few months. But the guilt ate at me. This was my mother. She was facing eviction, and I had money saved. Not a lot, but enough. I had been saving for years. I could afford $3,000. Barely. But I could do it. I gave her the money. I transferred it directly to her landlord. Mom cried and thanked me. She promised to pay me back. She said she just needed to get on her feet. She said once she found a new job, she would repay every penny. 2 weeks went by. Then I saw Emma's Facebook post. Pictures of Mom at a car dealership, standing next to a shiny blue sedan. The caption said Mom finally got her dream car. So proud of her. Emma, Tyler, and Mom were all smiling in the photos. There was even a picture of Mom signing paperwork. My stomach dropped. I called Mom. She answered cheerfully. I asked about the car. She said she needed reliable transportation to find work. She said the rent situation had worked out differently. The landlord had accepted a partial payment plan. She said she used my money as a down payment on the car instead because transportation was more important. I said she lied to me. She said she did not lie. She said she needed help, and I helped. She said I should be happy that my mother finally had a dependable vehicle. She said after all the years she struggled raising Emma alone, the least I could do was help her get ahead. I said she told me she needed rent money. She said plans changed. She said I was being selfish and ungrateful. She said she was disappointed in my attitude. I hung up. I called Emma. She defended Mom. She said Mom made a practical decision. She said I was being dramatic. She said, why was I starting problems when we were finally reconnecting as a family? Tyler sent me a text. It said, why are you causing drama? It said, we are trying to be a family again. They flipped it. They made me the villain for questioning them. Amanda found out because I was visibly upset. I told her what happened. She was furious. Not at me, at them. She said she warned me. She said they were using me. She said I needed to cut them off immediately. I said it was complicated. She said it was not complicated at all. She said they were manipulating me. She said if I could not see that, then maybe she needed space to think about our relationship. We did not break up. Not yet. But something cracked between us. She went home that night instead of staying over like she usually did. She said she needed time to think. I sat alone in my apartment and realized I had lost $3,000 and damaged my relationship with the one person who actually cared about me, all because I wanted to believe my mother had changed. I had tried to help. I had tried to rebuild the relationship, and I made everything worse. The problem I thought I solved just created a bigger problem. That was when I learned that with my family, there would always be a bigger problem. Mom started calling every week, Sunday afternoons, like clockwork. At first, it was just to chat. How was work? How was I doing? But then she would mention something. Her electric bill was high this month, or her car insurance went up, or she needed new tires. Never a direct ask, just mentions, just hints. Emma called too. She needed money for baby supplies. The crib was expensive. The stroller cost too much. Brad's hours got cut at work. She said she hated to ask, but could I help with $200? Just this once. Tyler texted me about a job training program. It cost $800 up front, but guaranteed placement afterward. He said if I could lend him the money, he would pay me back with his first paycheck. I said no to all of them. Douglas had drilled it into my head. He said they would bleed me dry if I let them. He said I worked too hard for my money to give it away to people who lied to me. But the guilt was crushing. Every time I said no, they made me feel it. Emma said, "I guess you do not care about your nephew." Mom said, "After everything I did for you." Tyler said, "Some brother you turned out to be." Work became my refuge. I was up for a major promotion, senior property manager. Douglas was planning to retire within the year, and he wanted me to take over some of his key clients. It was the biggest career opportunity of my life. The position came with a salary of $75,000. It would change everything for me. The promotion hinged on closing a massive deal. Our firm was managing a property portfolio worth $12 million, multiple office buildings downtown. If I could successfully renegotiate the lease agreements and keep the major tenants happy, the promotion was mine. I worked on that deal for months. Late nights, early mornings. Every detail had to be perfect. Then Emma called with news. She was getting married. Not to Brad, the father of her baby. That relationship had ended months ago. She was marrying a guy named Scott. They had been dating for 6 months. She was very much in love. The wedding would be in 2 months. She wanted me to be in the wedding party, to stand up with the family. She said it would mean so much to her. I said I would think about it. Then she brought up money. She said Mom could not afford to pay for the wedding. Mom was still struggling financially. Emma and Scott were paying for most of it themselves, but they were short. She needed $5,000. She said Dad already said no. She said I was her only hope. I told her I could not afford $5,000. She said I was a property manager. She said I made good money. She said I had money. I just did not want to share it. She said family helps family. And clearly, I had forgotten what that meant. I said no. Firmly. Clearly. No. She exploded. She called me selfish. She called me heartless. She said I had turned my back on my family. She said she hoped I was happy being alone because that was what I deserved. I hung up and blocked her number. I thought that would be the end of it. 3 days later, Dad called. It was the first time I had heard his voice in over 13 years. He said he heard I was doing well financially. He said he wanted to reconnect. He suggested coffee. I almost said no. But curiosity won. I agreed to meet him. We met at a coffee shop on Thursday morning. Dad looked older, thinner, gray hair. He hugged me awkwardly. He apologized for the past. He said he regretted how things went. He said his marriage to Janet ended in divorce 2 years ago. He said he had struggled since then. He said he missed having his kids in his life. We talked for maybe 5 minutes. Surface-level stuff. Then Dad got to the point. He needed me to co-sign a loan for $15,000. He was starting a business venture, buying into a car wash franchise. He said it was a guaranteed moneymaker. He said he would pay me back with interest once the business took off. I said no. I said I could not afford to co-sign that kind of loan. Dad's face hardened. He said I was his son. He said after all he did raising me for 11 years, I owed him this. He said it was the least I could do. I pointed out that he abandoned me when I was 11. He said that was Mom's idea. He said he wanted to keep me, but Mom insisted on the custody arrangement. He said it was not his fault. I knew he was lying. I remembered that phone call when I was 13. I remembered him choosing his stepdaughters. I stood up and left. Dad called after me. I kept walking. 2 days later, Emma showed up at my office. I was in a meeting with a client when the receptionist interrupted. She said someone claiming to be my sister was in the lobby demanding to see me. I excused myself and went out. Emma was pacing in the lobby. She looked furious. When she saw me, she started yelling. She said I had money for myself but not for my family. She said I was selfish and cruel. She said I abandoned them, just like they abandoned me, so I was no better. She said I was a terrible person. Security had to escort her out. She screamed the whole way. Everyone in the office heard. Coworkers stared. Clients looked uncomfortable. It was humiliating. My boss, a senior partner named Harold Grant, called me into his office. He asked if everything was okay. I said it was a family issue, and it was handled. He said he hoped so because we needed to maintain a professional environment. But the damage was done. Later that day, I found out Emma had gotten to Douglas before security removed her. She told him I borrowed money from my family and refused to pay it back. She twisted the whole story, made me sound like a con artist who stole from his struggling mother and pregnant sister. Douglas called me into his office after everyone left. He asked for my side of the story. I told him everything. The $3,000 I gave Mom for rent that she spent on a car. The constant requests for money. Emma's wedding demands. Dad's loan request. All of it. Douglas believed me. He said he could tell I was being honest. But he also said other partners had heard about the scene. Whispers were starting. Some people were questioning my judgment, my stability, my ability to handle high-pressure situations. Then the worst news came. The major deal I had been working on fell through. The client, a corporate investor named Pinnacle Holdings, requested a different property manager. Their representative said they heard about instability in my personal life and preferred to work with someone else. They did not want complications. The deal went to Brad Wilson instead. Brad was a colleague who had been with the firm for 5 years. Competent, but not exceptional. He got my deal. He closed it. And 3 weeks later, he got the promotion I had been working toward for 2 years. I sat in Douglas's office when he told me. He looked genuinely sorry. He said the decision came from the other partners. He said my work was excellent, but the family drama created concerns. He said maybe next year. After I had sacrificed everything for this, Amanda found out about the promotion going to someone else. She asked what happened. I told her. She said this was exactly what she feared. She said my family was destroying my life, and I kept letting them. She said she loved me, but she could not watch it anymore. She said she needed to protect herself. We broke up that night. She cried. I cried. But she said she had to go. She said maybe someday I would get strong enough to cut them off completely, but until then, she could not be part of it. I lost the promotion. I lost Amanda. I lost my professional reputation, and my family was just getting started. Mom called 2 days after Amanda left. She said she heard through Emma that I got dumped. She said she was sorry. She said if I needed anything, she was there. It almost sounded genuine. Then she mentioned her electricity was getting shut off, unless she paid $200 by Friday. I said no. She got quiet. Then she said she was disappointed in me. She said she thought we were rebuilding our relationship, but clearly, I only cared about myself. She hung up. Emma texted me every other day for a week. Pictures of baby items with price tags. a crib for $400, a car seat for $200, a stroller for $350. Each message said, "Wish I could afford this." Each message was a guilt trip wrapped in passive aggression. I blocked her number again. Tyler showed up at my apartment. I do not know how he got my address, but he knocked on my door on a Saturday morning. He said he needed to talk. I let him in because I wanted to believe maybe one of them was different. Maybe Tyler actually wanted a relationship. He sat on my couch and said he heard I was upset. He said family fights happen. He said we should move past it. Then he said he needed $500 for car repairs. His transmission was going out. Without a car, he could not get to job interviews. I told him to leave. He got angry. He said I was just like them, cold, selfish, mean. He said no wonder nobody wanted me when I was a kid. He said I deserved to be alone. I physically pushed him toward the door. He pushed back. We almost fought right there in my apartment. My neighbor knocked on the wall. Tyler left, but not before saying this was not over. Work became my only focus. I threw myself into my projects. Brad Wilson had my promotion, but I still had my job. I still had my clients. I could rebuild. Douglas kept encouraging me. He said setbacks happen. He said I was resilient. He said I would bounce back. Then Emma announced her wedding date. 2 months away. She sent a formal invitation to my office address. Expensive cardstock. Elegant font. She was marrying Scott at a country club. Reception for 150 people. I did not respond. I assumed that was the end of it. But Emma was not done. She posted on Facebook a long, emotional post about family betrayal. She did not name me directly, but the implications were clear. She talked about a family member who refused to help his struggling single mother. A family member who had money but refused to share. A family member who abandoned his pregnant sister. The comments flooded in. People I did not know offering sympathy. People saying family should stick together. Some of my colleagues saw it. Emma had tagged our city. Some mutual friends of friends connected the dots. The whispers at work got louder. Harold Grant called me into his office again. He said the partners were concerned. He said my personal life was affecting the firm's reputation. He said I needed to handle this situation immediately, or there would be consequences. I said I was handling it. I said I had cut them off. Harold said clearly not well enough if they were still causing public scenes. Douglas announced his retirement date. 3 months away. The firm would lose its founding partner. Restructuring would happen. New client assignments. New team leads. It was a vulnerable time for everyone. That is when Dad reappeared. He called my work phone. He said he heard about my troubles. He said he wanted to help. He suggested I move in with him temporarily, save on rent, get my finances together, rebuild my life. I almost laughed. I asked if he was serious. He said completely. He said it was time we acted like father and son. He gave me his address. He said I should think about it. I hung up. Then I saw Emma's Facebook post from that morning. Update. Dad is letting Harry move in with him. Maybe this will teach him to appreciate family. They had coordinated this. They wanted me desperate enough to depend on them. Then they could control me, use me, bleed me dry. I realized with crystal clarity what was happening. They were systematically destroying every part of my life, my career, my relationship, my reputation, my independence. They wanted me broken. They wanted me with no options. Then I would have to turn to them. Then I would have to give them whatever they wanted. Mom called that night. She said she heard about my difficulties at work. She said, maybe I should take a step back, focus on family. She said family was more important than career. She said money was not everything. I said nothing. She said she hoped I would come to my senses soon. She said they all loved me. They just wanted what was best for me. I hung up and turned off my phone. The next week, my landlord approached me. Mrs. Chen, A small woman in her 60s who had always been friendly. She said she needed to talk. We sat in her kitchen. She said she received some concerning phone calls, people claiming to be my family. They said I was unstable and dangerous. They said I had threatened them. They said she should be careful. I explained the situation. Mrs. Chen listened. She said she believed me, but she also said she could not have drama in her building. Other tenants were complaining about the noise, Tyler's visit, the shouting. She said she had to protect her property. She gave me 30 days' notice. Not an official eviction, just a request that I find somewhere else to live. She was sorry. She seemed genuine, but the result was the same. I was losing my apartment. I had 30 days to find a new place. In a city where rent was expensive and landlords did background checks. Where any Google search of my name now brought up Emma's Facebook posts. Where my professional reputation was damaged. My family had backed me into a corner. They had taken my girlfriend, my promotion. My mentor was retiring. My reputation was ruined. And now my housing was gone. I sat in my apartment that night, in the dark, and faced the truth. They had won. They had systematically destroyed everything I built. And I had let them do it because I wanted to believe they had changed. Because I wanted a family. Dad called one more time. He said his offer still stood. He could pick me up this weekend. Help me move. We could start fresh. Be a real family. I hung up without answering. But for the first time, I understood what they wanted. They wanted me with nothing left. They wanted me desperate. They wanted me to have no choice but to crawl back to them and do whatever they demanded. They wanted me broken, and I was almost there. Finding a new apartment was harder than I expected. Every landlord wanted references, credit checks, background information. 3 different places turned me down. One landlord admitted she Googled my name and saw Emma's posts. She said she did not want tenant drama. I found a place, eventually. A studio apartment in a worse neighborhood, $600 a month, which was more than I was paying before for half the space. The windows had bars. The building smelled like cigarettes and mildew, but the landlord did not ask many questions. I signed the lease and moved in with the few belongings I had. Work got worse. Brad Wilson, the guy who got my promotion, seemed to enjoy rubbing it in. He gave me the worst assignments, difficult tenants, problem properties in bad neighborhoods that nobody else wanted to manage. In meetings, he questioned my decisions, made subtle comments about my reliability. Douglas tried to shield me, but he was in his final weeks before retirement. His influence was waning. The other partners listened to Brad now. I was sidelined. My career had stalled completely. Then Mom escalated. She filed a lawsuit against me. I got served at my office, official court papers. She was suing me for financial support and emotional distress. The claim said I had promised to help her financially, and then reneged on that promise. It said my abandonment of her caused her severe emotional trauma. She was seeking $20,000 in damages. It was complete fiction. I never promised her anything beyond that one-time $3,000 she spent on a car. But she had a lawyer. Her lawyer was Scott, Emma's fiancé. He was a personal injury attorney. Not a good one from what I researched, but he knew how to file paperwork. I needed my own lawyer. I called 3 different attorneys. The cheapest one wanted a $5,000 retainer. I did not have $5,000. My savings were gone. My rent was higher. My income had not increased. I was barely making it. I put the retainer on a credit card. Patricia Holmes was her name. Tough woman in her 50s with short gray hair and sharp eyes. She reviewed Mom's lawsuit and said it was garbage, completely frivolous. But we still had to respond. Court dates, paperwork, time, and money. Douglas officially retired. His last day was a Friday. The firm threw him a small party. Cake in the conference room. People gave speeches. Douglas gave me a long hug before he left. He said, "Do not let them destroy you." He said I was stronger than they would ever be. He said to call him if I needed anything. I nodded, but I felt hollow inside. My mentor was gone. My advocate was gone. I was alone at the firm now, reporting to Brad Wilson, who hated me. The new senior partner restructuring happened the following Monday. Brad made team assignments. I got the worst team, the newest, least experienced agents, the difficult properties. It was punishment disguised as management decisions. My health started failing. I was not sleeping. Constant stress. Constant worry. One Tuesday morning, I fainted at my desk, just blacked out. When I came to, coworkers were standing over me. Someone had called an ambulance. At the hospital, they ran tests. High blood pressure. Dangerous levels. The doctor said I was at risk for a heart attack or stroke. I was 26 years old. The doctor asked about stress in my life. I almost laughed. She prescribed medication, blood pressure pills, anti-anxiety medication. She said I needed to reduce my stress immediately. I could not afford to take time off work. I could not afford the medications without my insurance. I filled the prescriptions and hoped they would help. The lawsuit moved forward. Court date was set for 6 weeks away. Patricia filed a motion to dismiss. We waited. Mom's posts on social media continued. She painted herself as the victim, the abandoned mother, the woman whose successful son turned his back on her. Tyler got arrested, driving under the influence. He called me from jail asking me to post bail. $500. I said no. He called me a piece of garbage and hung up. Emma posted about it on Facebook. Another family member in crisis, and Harry refuses to help. The comment section filled with strangers calling me heartless, calling me cruel, saying I deserved to be alone. Some people found my work email, sent me hateful messages, told me I was a bad person, told me karma would get me. Harold Grant called me into his office. He said the firm was receiving emails about me, complaints from people who saw Emma's posts. It was affecting the firm's reputation. He said I needed to resolve this immediately, or my employment would be in jeopardy. I said I was trying. I said I had a lawyer. I said I was handling it. Harold said, "Handle it faster." Then I got the eviction notice. Not from Mrs. Chen this time. From my new landlord. 30-day notice to vacate. Lease violations. Disturbing other tenants. I had not disturbed anyone. I worked and slept. That was it. I called the landlord. He said other tenants complained about me. Said I seemed unstable. He said someone contacted him with concerns about my behavior. When I asked who, he would not say. But I knew. Emma, or Mom, or Tyler. They had found my new address. They contacted my landlord. They convinced him I was dangerous. I was being evicted again. 30 days to find a third apartment in 6 months. Patricia called with bad news. The motion to dismiss was denied. The judge said we had to go to trial. It was scheduled for 3 weeks away. Patricia said not to worry. She said we would win. The case was frivolous, but I had to sit through a trial, face my mother in court, waste more time, more money, more energy I did not have. Dad called one more time. His voice was smooth, understanding. He said he heard I was having a really hard time. He said his offer still stood. Come stay with him. Just until I got back on my feet. Family took care of family. No strings attached. I sat in my studio apartment that smelled like cigarettes. Bars on the windows. Eviction notice on the counter. Court date circled on my calendar. Bottles of blood pressure medication on the table. Amanda was gone. Douglas was retired. My career was destroyed. My health was failing. My family had systematically demolished every part of my life. They wanted me with nothing. They wanted me desperate enough to accept Dad's offer. Then they would have me. Then they could control everything. I looked at my phone. Dad's number glowing on the screen. Waiting for my answer. And I realized something. This was the choice: give up and give in, or find a way to fight back. I had been reacting this whole time, defending, retreating, losing ground with every step. It was time to stop defending, time to attack, time to fight back with everything I had left. I hung up on Dad. I called Patricia. I said I wanted to countersue, for harassment, for defamation, for everything they had done. She said that would cost more money. I said I did not care. I would find the money. I would go into debt, whatever it took. I was done being their victim. I was done letting them destroy me. They wanted a war. Fine. They were going to get one, and I was going to win. Patricia and I worked through the weekend. We built a case. She said if we were going to countersue, we needed evidence. Real, documented evidence. I had been keeping records without realizing it. Text messages, call logs, Facebook posts, screenshots of Emma's public attacks, the lie about rent money, the scene at my office, Tyler showing up at my apartment, Mom's threats. Patricia said we needed more. She said in my state, I could legally record phone calls as long as one party consented. I was one party. That meant I could record them. The next time Mom called, I was ready. She said she wanted to settle the lawsuit, drop everything if I paid her $10,000 and agreed to help financially going forward. I recorded every word. I asked her to clarify what she meant by help financially. She said at least $500 a month. I asked what would happen if I said no. She said the lawsuit would continue. She said she would make sure I never worked in this city again. That was extortion. Patricia almost cheered when I played her the recording. Emma called 2 days later. Same thing. She said if I just gave them what they wanted, all of this would stop. She said they would leave me alone. I recorded it. She said I brought this on myself. She said I was making it worse by fighting back. She said smart people knew when to give up. I went to work Monday morning with a plan. I requested a meeting with Harold Grant and the executive board, all the senior partners. I brought Patricia with me as my attorney. Harold looked surprised but allowed it. I presented everything: the timeline, the exploitation, the lies, the scene Emma caused at the office, the social media defamation, the coordinated attacks on my landlords, the bogus lawsuit, all of it. I showed them evidence, recordings, screenshots, documentation. I explained that I had been the victim of a systematic harassment campaign by my biological family. I explained that I had hired an attorney and was pursuing legal action against them. I explained that they had deliberately sabotaged my professional reputation as part of their campaign. Then I showed them Brad Wilson's performance reports, the clients he had mismanaged since getting my promotion, the missed deadlines, the complaints. I had been keeping track. Brad was underperforming badly. The promotion he got should have been mine, and the firm had suffered for it. Harold and the other partners listened. They asked questions. They reviewed the evidence. Then they asked Patricia and me to wait outside. We sat in the hallway for 40 minutes. Patricia said I did well. She said the truth was powerful. Harold called us back in. He said the board had discussed it. They apologized. They said they had not understood the full scope of what was happening. They said they had made decisions based on incomplete information. They said Brad Wilson would be reassigned. They said my promotion was being reinstated, effective immediately. Senior property manager. Salary of $75,000. And a formal apology letter for my file. I walked out of that meeting with my career back. But, more importantly, I walked out with the firm's support. They agreed to write a statement if needed for court. They agreed to cooperate with my attorney. They backed me. The court date arrived 3 weeks later. Patricia and I sat at the plaintiff's table. Mom, Emma, and Scott sat at the defendant's table. Tyler was not there. Apparently, he was dealing with his DUI charges. The judge reviewed the case. Mom's lawyer, Scott, presented their argument. It was weak, vague claims. No real evidence. Just emotional appeals about a son abandoning his mother. Then Patricia stood up. She presented our evidence. Every text message, every recording, every Facebook post, the lie about rent money, the car purchase, the harassment at my workplace, the coordinated attacks on my landlords, the extortion attempts on recorded phone calls. The judge's expression changed as he listened. He asked Mom's lawyer if he had any response to these allegations. Scott stammered. He said the recordings were taken out of context. Patricia pointed out that extortion is extortion, regardless of context. The judge dismissed Mom's lawsuit immediately. He called it frivolous and a waste of the court's time. Then, he allowed our countersuit to proceed. Patricia presented damages, financial harm from lost promotion opportunities, damage to my professional reputation, emotional distress, medical bills from stress-related health issues, housing instability, legal fees. The judge listened to everything. He asked Mom if she had anything to say. She cried. She said she was just trying to reconnect with her son. The judge was not impressed. He said using the court system to extort money was not reconnecting. He said weaponizing family relationships for financial gain was unconscionable. He ruled in my favor. $10,000 in damages, full reimbursement of my legal fees, which was another $8,000, a permanent restraining order. Mom, Emma, Tyler, and Dad were not allowed to contact me. Not by phone, not by email, not by social media, not in person. If they violated it, they would face criminal charges. Scott, Emma's lawyer husband, was reported to the state bar for ethics violations, conflict of interest, using his license to pursue a frivolous case for his fiancée's family. He would face an investigation that could result in suspension or disbarment. We left the courthouse. Patricia hugged me. She said I did it. She said I fought back and won. Mom tried to approach me in the parking lot. The bailiff stopped her, reminded her about the restraining order. She was crying. She said I was her son. The bailiff said she needed to leave immediately or she would be arrested. I watched her walk away. I felt nothing. No anger, no sadness, no guilt. She was a stranger who happened to share my DNA. Life got better quickly after that. The court judgment meant Mom had to pay me. She did not have the money, so her wages were garnished. $10,000 plus $8,000 in legal fees. It would take her years to pay it back. I did not care about the money. I cared about the principle. Emma's marriage to Scott fell apart. The stress of the ethics investigation and his potential disbarment was too much. She posted about it on Facebook. People offered sympathy. I did not see it firsthand because I had blocked her. But Patricia showed me. Emma was facing single motherhood with no support. I felt no satisfaction in that. I just felt nothing. Tyler reached out through a mutual connection, a former foster kid I had known years ago. He said Tyler wanted to apologize, wanted to make things right. I told the mutual connection I was not interested. The restraining order stayed in place. Dad never tried to contact me. I heard through the grapevine that he moved to another state, started over somewhere else. Good for him. I hoped I never saw him again. I found a new apartment, a nice one-bedroom in a good neighborhood. Ground floor with a small patio. No bars on the windows. The landlord checked my references. My boss at Parker and Associates gave me a glowing recommendation. I signed a year lease. Work became fulfilling again. I took over Douglas's old clients, built new relationships. My salary increase meant I could save money again, build a real emergency fund, plan for the future. My health improved. The stress lifted. My blood pressure came down. I stopped needing the anxiety medication. I started sleeping through the night. I joined a gym, started taking care of myself. I reconnected with Mr. Reeves, my old foster parent. the one who was decent to me. I found him on Facebook and sent a message. He remembered me. We met for coffee. He was retired now. His wife had passed away 2 years earlier. We talked for hours. He said he always wondered how I turned out. He said he was proud of me. We started meeting monthly for dinner. He became something like a grandfather figure. I started going to therapy. A woman named Dr. Sarah Martin, who specialized in childhood trauma and family estrangement. She helped me process everything: the abandonment, the abuse, the exploitation. She said I had every right to protect myself. She said family was not an obligation. She said I could choose who was in my life. 8 months after the court case, I met someone. Her name was Claire. I met her at a support group Dr. Martin recommended, a group for adults who grew up in foster care. Claire had a similar story. Different details, but the same core wound. Parents who chose not to be parents. A childhood spent in the system. The struggle to build a life from nothing. We understood each other in a way that was rare. We did not have to explain. We just knew. We started dating slowly. Coffee dates, walks in the park, getting to know each other without pressure or expectations. Claire worked as a nurse. She was kind and funny and fiercely independent. She had built her life just like I built mine. Through determination and hard work and refusing to give up, we were both survivors. We both understood what it meant to create your own family from scratch. 1 year after the court victory, I was sitting in my office with my nameplate on the door. Harry Brennan, Senior Property Manager. I had a photo on my desk. Me, Claire, and Mr. Reeves at dinner the week before. We were all smiling. That was my family. The people who showed up, the people who stayed. My phone rang. Unknown number. I almost answered it, then stopped. I had caller ID for a reason. If it was important, they would leave a message. If it was them, trying to get around the restraining order, I would report it. The phone stopped ringing. A voicemail notification popped up. I deleted it without listening. I did not need to know. I did not need closure. I did not need anything from them. I had everything I needed right here. A career I built through hard work. An apartment I paid for with money I earned. Friends I chose. A partner who respected me. A mentor figure who showed up when it mattered. I thought about that ruined mask. The one I held the day my parents divided the family. The one Mrs. Brooks threw away. I used to think that mask symbolized my broken childhood, and it did. But now I understood something else. That mask was supposed to make me a superhero when I was a kid. But I did not need a mask to be strong. I built my own armor through surviving, through fighting back, through refusing to let them destroy me. When my family came back wanting into my life, they expected me to be the same abandoned 11-year-old boy they left behind. Desperate, needy, easy to manipulate. They did not expect me to have built something real, something solid, something they could not touch. The greatest victory was not the court case, or the restraining order, or the money they had to pay me back. The greatest victory was having the strength to say no, to protect what I built, to choose my own family, instead of accepting the one that never chose me. I learned that family is not about blood. It is about who shows up when things are hard, who believes in you when you doubt yourself, who stands by you when everyone else walks away. Douglas showed up. Patricia showed up. Mr. Reeves showed up. Claire showed up. My biological family showed up too. But they showed up to take, not to give, to exploit, not to support. And I had the power to send them away. I turned back to my computer. I had work to do, clients to serve, properties to manage, a life to live on my own terms, a life they were not part of, a life I built from nothing, a life nobody could take from me. That was my happy ending. Not because everything was perfect, not because all wounds healed completely, but because I survived. I fought back. I won. And I was finally free. If you have ever felt abandoned by the people who were supposed to love you, I want you to know something. You are not defined by who left you. You are defined by who you become, in spite of them. You can build your own family. You can create your own life. You can find your own peace. And when the people who hurt you come back asking for another chance, you have every right to say no. That power, that choice, that freedom, that is what victory looks like. So let me ask you this. Have you ever had to cut off toxic family members to protect yourself? Have you ever had to choose your own peace over someone else's expectations? How did you find the strength to say no to people who thought you owed them everything? Share your story in the comments below. Your experience might help someone else who is struggling with the same decision right now. If this story resonated with you, please hit the like button. It helps others find these stories and know they are not alone. Subscribe to hear more stories about survival, resilience, and choosing yourself when nobody else will. And share this with someone who needs to hear that it is okay to walk away from people who only bring you pain, even if those people are family. Thank you for listening to my story. I hope it reminded you that you are stronger than you think, braver than you believe, and worthy of a life filled with people who actually show up for you. Take care of yourself out there. And remember that sometimes the best thing you can do is close the door on people who never valued having it open.